Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Anna and I read books. We are now well and truly halfway through 2025. It is the middle of July, so I thought it would be a great time to rank every single book I've read so far in 2025 from worst to best. I have a total of 31 books to rank today. Also, I'd love to know how many books have you read so far this year? Let me know in the comments. So we're going to be ranking all 31 books I've read so far this year. Now, obviously, this is all my opinion. If I like a book, you might hate it. If you love a book, I might hate it. That's just how books are, and I love that. I love that books can find their people and they can mean something different for everyone. So this is just my opinion, and honestly, my opinions are probably going to change in the future, so yeah. And honestly, I think I can say something good about every single book on this list, even if I didn't absolutely love it. I think last year I'd read about 50 books by now, but this year I've only read 31, which is still quite a lot, but I've been trying to slow down my reading pace and not force myself to read when I don't want to. And I think I'm just gonna move. Oh my gosh. Also, please comment below your top 3 and worst 3 books you've read so far this year. I'm really interested to see what everyone else has been reading and loving and hating this year. I love talking about books in the comments, so comment below and let's chat about books. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Now let's get into it. Number 31, the worst book I've read this year. It is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. Now, I DNF'd this book about halfway through, so I don't know if I can truly rate this book. This was my first ever DNF of a book. I made a promise to myself this year to DNF books I'm not enjoying reading and don't push myself to read them if I'm not enjoying them. Honestly, when I was making the ranking, I picked this book up and I was looking at the quotes and thinking, I really enjoy these quotes. I think I actually like the writing. What I didn't like about this book was the main male character. His name is Aidan Valentine. His job was to host a romance hotline podcast type thing, and he was terrible at it. He hates love. He doesn't believe in love. He basically hated his job. Doesn't believe in love. It just annoyed me. The book started with his coworker basically giving him an intervention that he was driving their company to the ground and his boss was not happy. He had worked there I think like 6 or 8 years or something, and it just bothered me so much. I think I left a review. I was trying to ignore the parts that made me cringe and try to just enjoy the romance, but there is zero tension and I'm literally not rooting for the romance at all. I need to stop buying books because they have cute covers. Gosh, I was really mad. Also, why has this man worked for a romance radio show for like 8 years if he doesn't believe in love and just complains all the time? Why hasn't he been fired/quit by now? This dude had no personality except sucking at his job. Okay, I was a lot more mad about it than I am now. When I opened it before to look at what I'd highlight, because I actually did tab a few things, I really enjoyed reading the quotes, but I guess not enough for me to continue to read it and enjoy it. If you've read this book and absolutely loved it and you think I should try finish it, let me know, but it wasn't it for me. I'm just not obsessed with the going viral on the internet gimmicky sort of plot line in romance books. It's not for me. Okay, number 30 on my list is Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. I think this is a Spotify exclusive audiobook. It was only 4 hours and 24 minutes, so not too long. And I think this is my least favorite Ali Hazelwood book yet. I'm honestly getting really sick of the whole he's in love with her but she thinks he hates her. Like, I want him to actually hate her. I don't know. Also the spice in it just made my skin crawl. I'm sorry. I feel like this book had so much potential. I love the idea of a romance with 2 video game makers. I loved Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This was an amazing read for me, which was also about the love and friendship between 2 video game makers, and this is one of my favorite books of all time. So I was very excited about this. I mean, I guess the fact that it was a novella, it was very short. There wasn't ever going to be enough time to make it anything amazing, but I wasn't obsessed with the romance. It was a bit of miscommunication and then it's insta-love. I'm just getting sick of it. And yeah, the smut was not for me in this one. Okay, the next book on our list, number 29, is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I listened to this completely on audio because Sally Rooney doesn't use quotation marks in her writing, and I find that very difficult to understand. And I actually really enjoyed listening to this book. I just felt very unsatisfied at the end. I think maybe I need to go into Sally Rooney's books if I'm going to read another one, which I really do want to read Intermezzo. I need to go into it really not expecting any sort of plot, no plot. They're really just character studies I do find them interesting, I just always feel very unsatisfied. Last year I read Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney, and I really didn't enjoy it. She writes very complex characters and I find them very interesting. I also love a lot of the topics she delves into and ideas that are brought up in her novels. I just need to accept that there's going to be no satisfaction when I finish reading, but I did enjoy the ride. Basically, it's just about two very complex people, their relationship, and how they need a lot of therapy. Number 28 on our list is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I absolutely loved the movie of this book when that came out. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's another coming-of-age novel. If you've never read it or watched the movie, look into the trigger warnings, but it is a very amazing story. I would absolutely recommend reading or watching the movie. I find reading the book after already watching the movie makes it not hit as hard as I imagine it would if I had read it first. Hi Obi. I think I liked the movie more, but I know if I'd done it in reverse, I would have loved the book more. But yeah, so that's why it lands down here. Now, number 27 on my list is ACOTAR, which I know this is crazy because it's ACOTAR. I think I originally read this in 2023. It was my first ever fae fantasy novel, and I absolutely loved it. Took me through the Sarah J Maas rabbit hole, honestly pulled me out a new person, but the reread of it, I think it was sort of the same as the last book where it just couldn't hit the same again because I already knew everything that was going to happen. Even though it had been a few years, it just doesn't hit the same. So for my reread, I gave it 4 stars, I think. But I really do want to reread all the books before ACOTAR 6 comes out. Or is it ACOTAR? Yeah, before ACOTAR 6 comes out because I am very excited. So I will slowly reread these books because I do think they are very good. I feel like I don't even have to explain what this is about. I feel like everybody's read it by now. I think it's a really good starting place if you want to get into fantasy though. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it sort of goes off from there pretty fast. My mother-in-law recently read it and she was obsessed. She said, "Why haven't I been reading fantasy yet?" And I was like, I know, I felt the same way. Okay, next book we have number 26. It is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a YA mystery thriller series about a group of teenagers who are recruited by the FBI to solve cold cases. I thought it was about teenagers with superpowers or something, but I think it's just people with natural abilities. Honestly, I'm still a little confused. So the main character, Cassie, she's a natural at reading people. She knows a lot about other people without knowing anything. She can basically tell what people are thinking, what's going on in their lives. So obviously that is handy for the FBI and this group. And this one, oh my gosh, I was so sure that I knew exactly what was happening in this book. I was like, this is still fun, but I know how it's gonna end. I was so wrong, so wrong. And it was so much fun, honestly. It was a bit far-reaching maybe, but it was so much fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It is obviously written for teenagers, I believe. Very easy to digest, very simple, and the dialogue and relationships between the characters are very YA, but I still really enjoyed it. I'm very intrigued to continue the series and see where it goes. I had so much fun reading this, honestly. Although, I'm not gonna lie, there are parts in this that scared me a lot. There were these pages in between each chapter that honestly made my skin crawl, so be warned. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars, but I would highly recommend for young readers that are into mystery thriller and also older readers that don't mind reading young adult books. So for 24 and 25, we have Little Women and Good Wives by Louisa May Alcott. This is a classic novel originally written in 1868, and I absolutely loved the movie Little Women, so I wanted to read the original book, but I didn't realize that the movie is based off the first and second book. The copy I have is only Little Women, the first book, so I had to listen to Good Wives on audio as I could not find that book anywhere. I think this is my first classic I've ever read. I absolutely adore the story. I love these characters. Would really highly recommend watching the movie. If you haven't seen it, it is a classic. It's a classic. This book makes me wish I had sisters so bad. After I finished reading these, I rewatched the movie again and I cried the whole time. It's again another coming of age story, and I love history. I love learning about history. I absolutely loved reading a book that was actually written in a time of history from the perspective of living in that time, and it really just shows how different life was, but at the same time how the same humans are, our need for family and friendships and love. And I believe she wrote this book, I think loosely based off her own family. It's just so interesting that all the sisters were so different yet so close. Okay, we're now up to number 23 on our list, and that is Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Grishaverse Shadow and Bone trilogy. I also read Shadow and Bone this year, so that's somewhere else in the list. Honestly, I really enjoy Leigh Bardugo's writing. My issue with this book is some of the most interesting characters from the first book were barely in this one. Luckily, we had a new character introduced who was very interesting, and I believe she has a duology in the same universe about that character, so I'm excited to read that eventually. I found the pacing a little strange in this one, and the characters fell a little flat for me, but I do enjoy the writing. I do enjoy the world and the magic system. Everything about this is like on paper really good. It's just the story isn't going how I want it to, unfortunately. I'm very excited to read the Six of Crows duology by Leigh Bardugo in the same universe. I've heard that one is incredible, so we're pushing through. I'm hopefully going to read the third book of the series this month and finally get to read Six of Crows. I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. We're now up to number 22, and that place goes to Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. Honestly, this book surprised me a lot. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. Obviously didn't love First Time Cooler, so I was really thinking I am not a romance reader, but I read this one during a 24-hour readathon and I actually really enjoyed it. It gave me really big Mamma Mia vibes. I honestly felt like I was on holiday in Italy. I think this would have been an amazing COVID read. If you're looking to feel like you're on holiday, more of a light summery read, I would highly recommend this. It is YA, I believe, and I wasn't obsessed with the main character's storyline. Like, what's her name? Lena. But we had journals from her mother's time in Italy when she was younger, and I absolutely loved those. And I also really loved the father-daughter relationship moments in this book. Very heartwarming for a fatherless girl who wishes she had one. Some of it was a little bit silly, but I still really enjoyed it. So I ended up giving this 3.75 stars on Goodreads. I said, such a cute YA romance. Something about the writing was just so easy and comfortable to read, and I wasn't cringing at the cliche or corny moments like I normally would in a romance. Oh boy, this book made me crave some good Italian food and gelato. So yeah, absolutely recommend this for a summer read if you live in a country where it's summer at the moment. It was a bit of a getaway for me from the Australian winter. Okay, next on our list at 21, we have Whisper by Lynette Noni, and this was so much fun. I read this in a reading vlog recently. This is a young adult dystopian fantasy sci-fi. I don't know, honestly, this genre confuses me, but you know, the dystopian vibes are there. I think the main character is an 18-year-old girl. She's been locked up in this like government confined facility for 2 years, 6 months, 14 days, 11 hours, and 16 minutes. And they've been doing all these experiments and tests on her, and she hasn't spoken a single word since she entered this facility. And so it's very confusing to begin with, and it took a while for me to really understand what was going on. But it definitely picked up, and I had a lot of fun trying to figure out what was going on. It was a very nostalgic feeling reading this. So if you're missing that dystopian feel, I would really recommend giving this a go. There's also a second book called Weapon, which I need to get because I really need to know what happens next. I do really love Lynette Noni's writing. It's very fun and easy to digest. I'd recommend any of her books for young readers. So we are up to number 20. Number 20 is The Housemaid's Secret. This is the second book in the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. It is a thriller series about a woman who is a housemaid and the really creepy, bizarre scenarios that happen in the households that she housekeeps for. I absolutely loved the first book. I think I gave this one 3 stars. I really enjoyed it. I did not predict the ending. It hit me with so much whiplash, just like the first book. I just think I didn't enjoy this as much as the first one, but still a really good thriller mystery read. I find her books super engaging and creepy, but also a little bit silly and funny at times. So yeah, that one ranked at 20th on my rankings. And next book we have is number 19, and that is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is the third book in the Fourth Wing series, the Empyrean series? I don't even know what it's called. I also read Iron Flame this year. That one is later on in this video. Onyx Storm, I think I gave 3 stars. When you compare to other books I rate 3 stars, like I'd say this is more interesting, more fun, but I'm rating that against her other books, which I really enjoyed. The first book reminded me a lot of Divergent, but with dragons, obviously. The third book, I just felt like there were way too many new characters and places. There was a lot going on in this book. It was very repetitive, and I'm honestly just getting a little bit bored of Xaden and Violet. I'm excited to see where the series goes, and I really hope we get some more POVs in future books. It is a fun series. This one just didn't hit as good as the first two. Okay, next we have number 18, and it is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I honestly really liked this one. If you don't know, Emily Henry is, in my opinion, one of the best rom-com writers, and I never really find much of the dialogue to be cringy. I loved how the female main character in this book was a librarian. I think all her books, the main characters have something to do with books, but I thought that was really fun. One of the main things I didn't love about this book is some of the decisions the main male character makes and the lack of communication, and some things he did just annoyed me, which sort of ruined it for me. I think I gave this 4 stars. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars, but not my absolute fave Emily Henry book. I am really excited to read Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, although I've seen mixed reviews. I feel like I'll like it, but we'll see. Okay, now we have book number 17, and that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is another rom-com novel, which honestly, it's crazy to me that this ranked higher than Funny Story. Maybe it's because my expectations were really low for this one after I did not like Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I found that one was a bit of a slog to get through. I read this like a week or 2 ago in a reading vlog, and I actually ended up really enjoying it. Even though when I started reading it, I was like, oh no, I'm really not gonna like this. I think I just had to adjust myself to the tone of this book and understand that not all the humor in this book is for me, but just accept it for what it was. And then I really started to enjoy it more. Some of it is quite silly and frustrating. I was getting really frustrated with the main female character near the end, but I actually did end up enjoying this book. I thought it was funny. There were some heartfelt moments. There were some serious topics discussed. I actually really enjoyed it. I ended up giving this 4 stars, I'm pretty sure. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. I can't wait to read Just for the Summer as well from Abby Jimenez. Next, we have number 16 on the list, and it is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is like a TikTok cult fave in the romance genre. It's about 2 teenagers, Johnny and Shannon? Yeah. Johnny and Shannon, and about their budding relationship, and there's a lot of serious topics discussed in this, and bullying. One thing I really enjoyed about this book though was the sports, the rugby. I grew up loving rugby, so it was really cool to read my first fiction book that involved rugby. This book is absolutely humongous, but I think I listened to most of it on audio, and I really enjoyed it. The audio was really good. I really liked the narrators. Check trigger warnings for this one before you read. I always thought this series was YA, but it is for 18 plus, which made sense once I started reading it. It has a very nostalgic high school feel. I think the book's actually set in 2005. Yeah, it just reminded me of high school. Not that I was not in high school in 2005. I was like 6. It was very reminiscent of like TV shows I would have watched growing up, and it was very nostalgic. I really enjoyed it, and I'm super interested to see where the story goes. These books are just super massive, so I don't know when I'm gonna read the next one, but I definitely will. And I love the Irish banter. I don't know, it's very fun, although very sad as well. Mainly sad. But that is that one. Next we have number 15, which is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first book in the Shadow and Bone series. I absolutely loved this book when I first started reading it. I was really enjoying it. First of all, look at this map. This map is crazy cool. I really enjoyed the majority of this novel until the ending. I just didn't like the ending. But I love this world. I think this world is super unique. I really enjoy the magic system, and I really enjoy her writing. There are some really interesting characters in this book, and I am excited to finish this series, mainly because I want to get onto Six of Crows, but I did really enjoy this book, even though I didn't love the ending. Basically, in this world, there is like this big split in the world where there are these dark, scary creatures, and they have to cross this big, dark, scary place to, I don't even know, like takes up, because half their country is split by this thing. I never know when to stop explaining a book when it's like, okay, that's spoilers. Main character is a soldier, she's a cartographer, right? She makes maps, right? and they have to cross the fold, it's called, and actually it's called the Unseat on the map, but it's definitely the Shadow Fold. And there's this dark, mysterious leader. So the army, there's sort of the Grisha army, which are the magical people, and then there's the normal army of human soldiers. The Darkling is the leader of the Grisha. Basically, they're trying to get rid of this scary magical shadow split in the world. And I really liked it. I'm pretty sure this is YA. Is it YA? I think it's YA. Is it YA? Where would it tell me that? Probably on Google. It is a YA series. I like Leigh Bardugo's writing, and I am excited to read more from her. We are up to number 14 on the list. We're getting close to the top 10. We next have The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I'm shocked at how many of these romance books ended up so high. I once again started this book and was like, oh, I don't like this. I'm not going to enjoy this. However, I ended up absolutely adoring this book. This is another romance, but it has some magical realism. Pretty much the main character, Clementine, inherits her aunt's apartment, which she has always told her is magical. She never believed her, except one day she returns home from work to her apartment and there is a man staying there, and he said, your aunt said I could stay. And she's like, no, my aunt's dead. So the book sort of starts with their interaction and her navigating this situation. So it adds a really interesting concept to this romance novel, and in the end I ended up really enjoying it. And I ended up giving this, I think, 4.5. It's also set in New York City, which there's another book in this list partially set in New York City, which I love. Never been there. Sounds great. There's a lot about food in here, which made me super hungry. And the writing was really, really beautiful. The male main character in this book is a chef, and the female main character, I believe she worked in publishing, maybe something to do with travel. I also think Ashley Poston writes about more serious topics well. Sometimes you don't see that in books, but I think, for me at least, grief and maybe mental health were represented well. I don't know, I thought this was just very cute, sweet, funny, but also delved into more serious topics. Well written, fun, unique romance novel with the magical realism. That was too many words. Next we have number 12 and 13. I'm going to put them together because it is a duology. This is the Shepherd King duology, One Dark Window at 13 and Two Twisted Crowns at 12. I gave One Dark Window 4 stars and I gave Two Twisted Crowns 4.5. This was such a unique and interesting romantic duology. The magic system in this world is super unique. We basically have a magical deck of cards that people can use, but they have consequences for their use. Our main character, Elspeth Spindle, she pretty much has a monster called the Nightmare trapped in her mind, which is a super interesting dynamic and leads to a lot of interesting situations. We get some funny dialogue. Also, the second book in this duology, I just found this was like a perfect duology. It ended where it needed to. The second book, I was scared would fall short, as sometimes second books in series do. This one I found really, really good. I think maybe there were a couple characters from the first book that missed out in the second book, sort of just got wrapped up right at the end. But we did get some other super interesting relationships and dynamics in the second book as well. I just found this a very well-rounded, perfect duology. It is dark, it is unique. This one is not YA, however. I wasn't super obsessed with the romance. I was at the start, but I sort of got lost a little bit with the romance, but I still really enjoyed it. I was loving the romance in the second book though, and the bromance. I was enjoying the romance and the bromance in the second book, and I'm very excited to read The Night and the Moth, I think it's called, by Rachel Gillig as well. We now have number 11, last one before top 10, we have Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I think I gave this 4 stars. I read this near the start of the year, so it has been a while, so I'm gonna need to like dust the cobwebs out of my brain for this one. Oh yeah, no, I remember. I really enjoyed this one. Actually, I really did like this one. There were some new characters I found very interesting that brought some drama. These books for me are almost like, it's like Game of Thrones, but like reality TV. I love the drama. But yeah, there were some really intense moments in this book. I feel like I was super gripped. I was locked in reading this one compared to Onyx Storm. We had new enemies, new friends, more drama, more heat, more dragon banter. I don't know. It was fun. This series is fun, and I enjoyed this. Not as much as Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing, I think I gave 5 stars. Iron Flame, 4 stars. Onyx Storm, 3 stars. So hopefully the next one isn't 2 stars, because that would be sad. We now have the top 10 books I have read so far in 2025. Starting off strong with My Friends by Frederick Buckman. I think I have to say Frederick Buckman is my favorite author ever. Something about the way he writes just like fits a perfect little spot in my brain. The words just connect to me on another level that nothing else does. He writes the human experience so perfectly and it just makes so much sense. And he writes it so beautifully, although it seems so effortless. This was a really, really good story. We followed 2 timelines. What was the main character's name? I never remember main character names. Is it Alyssa? Louisa. Yeah, we have 18-year-old Louisa, who is an orphan. She's lived her life in foster care. She is now homeless at the age of 18, and she runs into a world-famous artist. And we get the backstory of his life growing up. In particular, one summer, him and his friends, and what they get up to that summer, and when he makes his first painting. A lot of sad, serious topics are discussed, and we sort of get Louisa's reaction to this story. It's just very beautiful. It's a very touching story. I think this would be a really good summer read. However, it's winter in Australia, and I loved it. I did kind of read this on holiday though, and it sort of felt like summer. I felt like I was in a summer mood. It's very interesting how important childhood friendships are and what a lasting impact they make on your entire lives and just how we change and grow. Very beautiful story. Not my absolute favorite from Frederick Buckman. I have another Frederick Buckman book on this list, and also Beertown, my absolute fave from Frederick Buckman, and A Man Called Uva, I loved more. His writing is just amazing. I feel like I should read a quote. Adults always think they can protect children by stopping them from going to dangerous places, but every teenager knows that's pointless because the most dangerous place on earth is inside us. He was good at seeing the beauty in everything. That happens if you're no good at seeing it in yourself. I don't understand how people can write that well. I absolutely adore how Frederick Buckman writes. He really advocates for women and speaks up on violence against women and what women go through, and just a lot of human experiences. The struggles of parenthood, the struggles of being a child, being a teenager. He really advocates for a lot of people and discusses a lot of really important issues in his books. I just love it. Okay, I need to move on, but please read anything Frederick Buckman, just do it. Next on our list is actually 3 books. Disclaimer, I am not a fan of the author of these next books, but they were so impactful and such a big part of my childhood, and they just have such a special place in my heart. I have never read the books, and I didn't have a lot of time to physically read at the end of last year, so I decided to start this series on audio and ended up listening to all 7 books within like a month. First we have Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This, I think, was my lowest rated out of the entire series. I gave every single book 5 stars except for number 5. It's just my least favorite. There's really not much to say about these books. I was really surprised with how similar they were to the movies. I was expecting so much more to be missing from the books, which I know there is, but I was expecting more, like what people have said in the past. And I would assume if I had read the books when I was younger, they would have been so much better than the movies. But I think since I've watched the movies and I already have that in my head, honestly, it just felt like I was watching the movies in my head listening to the books. It was so similar. There were a few things that were different, but not like opinion-altering things, like things that would have really made a big impact on the movies. At least in my perspective. I'm really glad I finally did read these books, or at least listen to them. So those are places 9, 8, and 7 on my list. The rest of the books I finished last year, so my best friend still has not watched the movies, by the way. That is insane to me. Okay, next on the list we have number 6, which is Where the Crawdads Sing. This book I read, I think it was one of the first books I read this year. Oh no, I read this in April. It's sort of like a coming of age mystery thriller-ish book. I think it was multiple timelines. I think we were going back and forth, and yeah. Was it? Maybe. There is a murder trial going on. Kaya Clark is the main suspect. We follow the main character, Kaya. She has been named the Marsh Girl by the whole town, and we pretty much get her backstory of why she lives out there all alone, what happened to her, and the men she has relationships with. We also have this murder mystery trial happening. I really enjoyed this. I think it started quite slow for me, but it really picked up and shocked me. And I read it because I really wanted to watch the movie, but I still haven't watched the movie, I don't think. Unless I did. I don't know, can't remember. And for number 5, we have Check and Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. I loved this book. I feel like this isn't her most popular or well-received book. I feel like I went into this with low expectations and ended up really surprised. Yeah, it has 3.95 stars on Goodreads, which I mean, that's great, but compared to, I feel like, her other books are much higher. This was the perfect rom-com for me. I loved that show, The Queen's Gambit. I really enjoyed the chess plot in this, and I absolutely loved the romance. I loved the characters. I loved all the characters in this. I just really liked this book. I don't know why. I love Ellie Hazelwood's writing. I think because this was YA, which I don't know if it should be YA, but it was a lot less graphic and cringy to me than some of her other books and their smutty scenes. I loved the humor, I loved the romance, I loved the chess. It was a perfect all-round book for me. I only have 2 tabs in here. Ellie Hazelwood always puts in the funniest little references. There was a reference to YouTube beauty gurus who are always making call-out videos about each other. Like, so random and specific, but funny. Number 5 for me so far this year. I loved it. Please write more way, Ellie Hazelwood. I love this. Okay, number 4, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is my first book I've read by Madeline Miller, and also my first mythology book, I'm pretty sure. So it was a bit of a learning curve for me because I know nothing about mythology, like really nothing. But this was such a beautiful story, and I don't know what it was. I just really felt like I was here within this story. It's something about it felt really nostalgic, like a movie I would have watched when I was younger or something. I don't know what it was, but I ate it up. It was beautiful. It was shocking. You're right, Donna Tartt. She said captivating, a hard book to put down. She's right. I don't know if it's like a retelling, like I don't know how mythology works. My prompt for this was a book you think will make you cry. I have a feeling this did. I think it did. It's about 2 boys. One is an awkward young prince who has been exiled to the court of King Peleus, and the other is King Peleus's son. They are 2 very different boys. One very confident, strong, and the other awkward, shy, weak. Not a fighter. I think a lot of people probably already know the story of this. I'm not sure how this book differs from the mythology. I don't know, but I loved it. This was a beautiful story, and I'm excited to read more from Madeline Miller. Number 3, we have another Frederick Backman. It is My Grandmother Sends Her Regards and Apologies. I loved this book so much. I was not expecting, I was expecting to love it. It's Frederick Backman, but I wasn't expecting it to hit me so hard. It was beautiful. I gave this 5 stars. Basically, Elsa's granny leaves her this, like a scavenger hunt, pretty much. It leads her to learning the backstory of all the people that live in their flat. Is it a flat? Apartment building together? And you just get, it's so good. It reminded me of A Man Called Ove, where we have these grumpy old characters that you really get to delve into, see why they are how they are, and you just end up loving them. There's just so many amazing characters, and the storytelling, it was such a beautiful book. I really, really enjoyed this. I think this story being in the perspective of a 7-year-old was amazing. The grandparent and grandchild dynamic is so special. It's so beautiful. It's such a heartwarming story to read about. I love Frederick Backman. Read it. Read his books. Okay, we are up to the top 2 books that I've read so far in 2025. In second place, we have Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I don't think this needs much explanation. It's Suzanne Collins. She is an incredible dystopian writer. This book follows Haymitch's games. It is the 50th annual Hunger Games. For his games, double the tributes are being taken. 2 girls and 2 boys from each district is taken for the games. For this quarter quell. This was so good and so, once again, nostalgic. Me and my boyfriend read this together, and he doesn't read a lot. You know it's a big one when he decides to read it with me. We devoured this. I think I gave it 4.5 stars initially when I read it, but honestly, looking back, it's a 5 star. I think it's 5 star. The only negative thing I would have to say about it is it kind of felt a little convenient with the connections to the original trilogy and Snow's book. Like, I don't think this was the original plan in her mind, but she made it work. She made it work. She made it happen. But it was so good. It was so good. I cannot wait for this movie to come out. I'm very, very excited. This was incredible. It's The Hunger Games. Now we have number 1, my favorite book of the year so far, is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Oh my goodness, this book. I loved it so much I had to get this special edition with the sprayed edges. It has beautiful artwork in it. Stunning. The cover, stunning. Love this special edition. I love this book. If you couldn't tell, I enjoyed this book just a little bit. This was my first V.E. Schwab book, and oh my goodness, her writing is beautiful. Her storytelling, there's so many things I could say about this book. The settings, the timeline, the magical realism. If you don't know, Addie LaRue is about a woman from 1700s who makes a deal with a god of the dark, which you're not supposed to do, to get out of a situation she's in, and he ends up pretty much tricking her, and she's remembered by no one. Her family forgets her, everyone she's ever known in life forgets her. The worst part is she cannot make any new relationships. Anyone she meets forgets her the moment she walks out the door. They will not remember her the next time they see her, until one day we have Henry. She meets twice and he remembers her. Pretty much we get Addie LaRue's entire life story, with her traveling through Europe in the 1800s, 1900s even, I think. And then the present day story is set in New York City. It was a beautiful story of life, love, of history, of the meaning of life. We also had Henry's POV in here, and I loved that as well. He was such an interesting character. It was so good. Number one book of 2025 for me so far. I'm so excited to read more from V.E. Schwab, and I'm very excited for the rest of 2025 to see what else we read. We'll see if this book is still my number one top fave by the end of the year, or if something else will dethrone it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really want to know what your top books of 2025 are so far, so please comment below and let's talk about books. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!